Beautiful, bustling Budapest, the capital of Hungary, the vibrant city, full of culture and history. Hungary also has a rich chess history, one full of great players. Now it hosts one of the world's most storied chess events, the Chess Olympiad. Every 2 years, players from almost 200 nations gather in one place. Their goal? Win glory for their country.
Wants to remain in medal contention. They need to take down
an insurgent Team USA who tries to...
Let's talk a little bit more about going all out, because let's see the pairings in the women's section. Danya, it was mentioned, of course, just now that, look, India have played their closest competition now, except boil it down to just win more individual games.
Pieces. He ain't taking the day off, that's for sure. Right? Extends. And this move, bishop e3. All right, this is what I want to spotlight here.
For a matchup where things are promising to be sharp. For now, all 8 pawns are on the board.
Wilhelm Steinitz, Capablanca, don't let them anywhere near this position because they might have a health episode. Great call by you, by the way, as Bardia Dineshvar did drop his knight over to h4. That's not on the
isolated C pawns. The isolated A pawn, they look bad. They may be bad in certain end games, but
really, John, I remember quite a few Olympiads. There have been a few fiascos, and a couple times the Hungarian team has just been privileged enough to see thus far, John.
The amazing master plan for a new sports center. They had to redo the whole thing and put the pool in the
post-match report blames his loss on the Havana. Dug up the meteorological records.
I would say 25 degrees Celsius somewhere like Singapore feels super likely to stay in the center. Is there going to be a world where I go queenside despite the lack?
Harder than it seems, but queen e1, would get the queen trapped several different ways. And this was actually where they have to score, where their bread at least partially has to be buttered. And yet again, Arjun Erigaisi has managed to get...
We're going to see kingside instead and see some fireworks, but the lack of a G-pawn is making me go, nah, there's absolutely no way. I was looking at that thinking... I didn't really know how that happened. I suspect some of the players would have discussed it afterwards, but are other pieces white can move? At the same time, the eval bar is laughing in my face.
Pretty terrible for black because bishop d6 runs into knight to b5, and that's all she wrote. And
with Iran, who are refusing to back down and are trying to halt that progress, and Poland in the women's section looking to do the same. Are they going to be able to do it? The mid-game rages on after this break, folks. Top up your drinks.
I think I have to cut you off.
d5 in many of these positions, and it does feel like the white king will be exposed.
So black is much better, as you can see from the eval bar, and I want people to pay attention.
That could be very useful. We know how strong Pragananda is in time trouble, but that position...
An achievement that only Magnus is capable of. How does white untangle here? Is knight f4 worthy of consideration? Do you put a rook on e1, or do you seek active counterplay? Well, he's made a move. This was a blunder by Jobava, actually. Material is equal, and that is the worst bit of news. No, I think this situation is critical for black. Just look at the bishop on g7. Black's pictograph, emotion graphs, where it starts with like a very broad smile and then moves slowly all the way to like a deep frown. That's kind of, if we graphed my team France Lagarde shortly thereafter, let's take a look at what went wrong. He's up in exchange, but that is literally the only thing that's going for him.
Just a pawn capture on g6 that you can get away with because white has that square fully under his control. And after h takes g6, Danya, the question that I'm wondering here, being a pest over there, you protect your knight on d4, which is loose, so bishop takes g2 ideas for black would be available on some lines. I know the bishop on e7 is quite loose. So c3...
Then the blunder against Alexei Serrana, because there it was at least complicated. Here it's just a pure piece.
Is he relying now on some kind of bishop takes bishop? It hits the black queen on e7, so after bishop... So I guess the one hope right now for the Iranian squad...
We are very comfortably out of my 1994 prep book, but all jokes aside, this is, it's been fun. There's been a little bit more fighting chess than maybe I originally anticipated, which sounds weird because we're in an Olympiad.
Not advised from the black side. Queen b3 is given the double question mark. It's a blunder because the knight on e2 is loose. And Danya, after queen takes knight, queen takes e6 check, I think this is what put fear in Guichard's mind. She's looking at this position. Her king is stuck in the center. Bishop g5 may look scary, but when their pieces...
Down to business. So if we rewind a little bit, I think things started going wrong here. Knight to c4 would have put the kibosh on White's counterplay. Instead, knight d3 was played. G4.
Carissa 6 and f7, Alice 5 and f6. But if we look at the board in between those two, I mean, Irina's got a dream position as White. She's also up a pawn, right? She's attacking an exposed black king, and she's given up no material, and she's ahead in material. So this is a disaster for Uzbekistan.
Yeah, I mean, anything wins here. And for Irina,
USA yesterday, that was a 2-2, a combative split as wins on all four boards. And now we see that Armenia wants to keep it up. They've played some of the top teams already, and this could be good for their medal chances. We mentioned Armenia in the Open.
But very creative defensive resource by Puya. He actually might pick up another piece, but it doesn't matter, Robert. Even a simple primitive move like queen to e3. Wait, no, that's bad. That's terrible because knight f6 traps dumb way to infiltrate either through f4 or through g6. Maybe there are tactics with like bishop g4, but I would argue that they're not even necessary. No, I think this is essentially a done deal.
There must be some kind of knight f5 tactic because the knight on g4 is untouchable thanks to knight e3 check. And I think that's what allows black to tactically give up this g7 pawn. But as you're showing, knight takes f5. I was wondering about this too. If rook d4, knight takes d4, you can get
It's the fire burning, and we'll try to turn the game around. But right now, Magnus Carlsen is on our camera.
Just to create a new queen, you want a second queen and deliver a checkmate. So for Magnus here and Team Norway, things are looking good. He just would like to avoid that tactic in the next few moves.
Now, just really quickly, rook takes b3. It's hard to say whether this works because after queen b3, queen c7, queen e3, you sack a piece. Seems that way, and he better because Jorden Van Foreest, in a shocking turn of events, has winning position. Heartbreaking, bitter pill to swallow. This is a Dom Perignon move right here. You know, this is fine champagne. I was suggesting knight h5. Anish Giri is playing like a Soviet schoolboy, getting his rooks to the h-file, and something is going
France, and that's a big win for the Americans. Pieces in this game?
Ooh, I mean, that transition. You're inimitable. Okay, wait a second. Why am I
saying that black is better?
Wow, it's a good day for
to be dangerous. So it's kind of like black is up 2 pawns in the center, white is up a queenside pawn. Would you be tempted to go for b4, b5 if you can for white just to try
3? Or is that impulsive?
I think he brought his rook to g1. That looks like it was the move here.
Can he play rook takes f1?
I was about, but unfortunately, black is taking a bishop of rook, and there's resignation, and Arjun Interview strikes first for Team India.
And there's actually an under promotion possible. Bardia does not put it on the board, but queen e7 could have been met, I think, with f1 equals knight with forced mate. One of several possible checkmates. I'm going to show this on the board because it's beautiful. It's the fastest mate. Robert, this would have been quite the ending to the game. But Bardia, we cannot blame him. Won in the end. It's just mate.
Well, that's going to happen, but I guess it wasn't a blunder of a piece, but the king, it's exposed. And here, queen takes e5 was played. There's a big question that needs to be answered here after queen takes knight. Is rook d1 just a outcome for white? Just go after the black king in this way. And you see Vidit still calculating. I think this is actually quite an instructive moment for our audience because
guys, we're here with Grandmaster Arjun Interview, who won again. And one thing is very clear: if you're 2,500 or 2,600, you do not want to face this man. There's a lot of things going on. India just keeps on winning, but there's a lot of other subplots with you. For example, have you thought at all about getting to 2,800?
No, not at all. I'm just not thinking about it at all. My focus is only on the tournament. Okay, well, it's going to happen organically in your career some point, so if it happens here, that would be awesome. Now, a couple days ago, I asked the board 4 of your ladies team, Vantika Agrawal, if she was thinking also not just about a gold medal, but about a perfect score of 22 out of 22. You got to level with me. You must have thought of this idea. Well, not really. In fact, yesterday I thought we were going to drop a point anyway, and yeah, it's fine as long as we win gold. Not really thinking about 22.
What about another statistic? Do you think it's possible that your team could finish the Olympiad with no individual board losses?
I think there's a pretty high chance of that. Like, all of us are playing well, and are in good form. So if we continue to do that, I think it could happen.
Lots of cool stories. Now, Vishy Anand just got to town for his FIDE duties. Has he contacted the team at all?
Oh yeah, we met. I met him during the playing venue, during the game. But yeah, for now that was it.
And last question, you've got a relatively young coach for your team, or captain I should say, Srinath, even younger I believe than Pantala Harikrishna. So, well, what does that mean to have a young captain? What does he bring to the team?
Yeah, firstly, most of us know him since a while, and he's also been the captain of the 22 Olympiad and the Asian Games. So, yeah, because we all know him, we have a very good bonding, and yeah, I'm not sure if him being young matters so much, but the thing that matters more is we all know him well.
Absolutely. Whatever he's doing is working. Of course, you're doing your part. Team India looking to be winning again against Iran, and we'll see if they end up getting their team gold, and also if they're able to get that magical 22 match points. It'd be amazing. Thanks, Arjun, for your time.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Well, I only was helped by the fact that you made a very natural move and the engine said black is suddenly much better, but an exchange was hanging on a8. So as by process of elimination, that black's next move is likely to be rook to h8 to save.
For my Silicon Fiend, here you play rook takes a4, g6, and apparently the presence of knight takes d3 is what kills all of the counterplay.
This makes sense
Why
to me, Danya.
Can't you do that here?
Erwin L'ami suffered defeat at the hands of Luka Paichadze, and it does seem though...
Yeah, white breaks through. Wow. Unbelievable. And white promotes first.
And I think that's a good moment to show that the box, right? You try to think, can my king chase down the enemy pawn?
And they're in trouble, actually, because Monika Sochko won on board 2 against Vaishali. But we'll get to that soon. Let's just finish the discussion of this game. Where would you rank Giri's winning chances? Do you think it's 50-50, or is it higher than that? Knight takes e3, king f3. Duda can tell you all about forking the rook and the knight. Sorry, too soon. But if you allow the king to step back to f3, this knight is on the worst possible square. Things starts crumbling like a house of cards.
Yeah, I mean, the king on h8 isn't safe either, and don't be surprised when white plays d5. You already drew the arrow as I was going to say it. Even if it's a pawn sacrifice, just on most of the boards, it's like Beloslava against...
I just feel like white's collapsing. There's too many sources of pressure here, Robert. The knights are too restricted, and I'm anticipating king g6 on the next move. Do you want to put this bishop on f4? Like, how do you... Critical lines? Now I have
rook
to check
f3?
Again. Yeah, rook f3. Hoping to keep this knight a bit. And now this move, rook g1. And what's the point? The point is, first of all, king takes g5. Whoopsie daisy. You drop the exchange.
And women's team. Now, I'm not saying I enjoy watching players get tortured over the board, but there isn't a challenge they faced yet.
Wow. I mean, it's true. They have been in a slugfest against the seconds right now, and he is digging deep, trying to
I can't watch.
Oh, it's really nerve-wracking. I don't think anyone on these two teams can watch because, Don, he's about to hit 10 seconds.
Well, he's got to watch his clock. His hands are over his head. He
made a losing move. Oh my gosh, the camera is behind the live board. He goes rook g5 check, and the evaluation plummets. And now Nordibek Abdusattorov is winning, and he knows it.
And now the rook will have to step away, and Nordibek's king is going to cross the Rubicon. It'll break the Maginot Line and win the 2 pawns. Predke senses it too. Oh, it's a Maritzi moment. 1 move away. And it's lost.
Danya, that's what happens when you're in time pressure. And look at Abdusattorov. He's rolling up his sleeves. I mean, what a guy he is. And you can see, I think, a little smile on his face there. The way is going down. Clutch Nordibek for sure.
No frickin' way. My gosh, my heart can't take this.
The rook endgame is now winning for black. There, we see the hand extend. There's resignation. And there is Uzbekistan taking down Serbia 2.5, 1.5. And there's a smile as they analyze the position. We look at Alina. She's 1 square away from promotion. Danya, this is bad news for Team India. I mean, this one should end shortly because white is currently up a rook. If black promotes, white will sacrifice the bishop. It'll be rook and pawn versus knight. And the good news for Kashlin's
2-2 result. Now Poland is knocking on the door of victory. This is just insanity. Vantika being the defensive attempts by Alicia here. King b6, almost ready to play c4. And if I'm Vantika, I'm thinking about keeping that pawn in check with a move like bishop e6.
It seems like winning attempts are running out for white, and it's black who suddenly could have some chances. So I think you offer a draw there. There, the draw is accepted, and Poland wins the match. That is a huge upset. The team from Poland, they were fierce. They side.
I was gonna say I'll be 90 years old by the time this game finishes, but remember, the players are exhausted. You know, they're exhausted, and sometimes of the game.
And we still see the position locked
door for one of India's future opponents. I know they've because your opponent's tie breaks would be through the roof. I'm looking nail biting.
Well, this was honestly one of the craziest.
Kazakhstan next. I think Poland controls their destiny